takes a lot of courage to go through what we've been through.
The doctors themselves are coming more and more because they say, hey, I'm not the same.
I laid in bed for 6 months with this raging pain.
One of the things that we have to have the courage to do is to act upon the information we have in front of us.
And what's the success of some of these therapies? What are you seeing as the results?
Well, I think what we're seeing is a great deal of promise.
So we need this solution because it will create a cancer from here to 2030.
Hi, it's Jonathan Otto. Welcome to bonus 2 of Healing Revolution, the big food cover-up, eating our health away. I'm so glad that you're here, since our experts are about to reveal the surprising secrets of big food that have quietly been chipping away at our health bit by bit every single day. The food that you have been eating for years is actually doing more harm than good, potentially. Depends what you've been eating. But let's have a look at that. The food industry isn't interested in nourishing you. They're only interested in keeping you addicted to the processed foods with toxins and empty calories. They have fooled us into believing that we need their sugary cereals, fast food, or packaged snacks so we can carry on under the stress of our daily lives. Meanwhile, the real solutions are natural, whole foods pushed further and further into oblivion. This is certainly not the conversation that the mainstream food companies are having with us to eat whole foods. A 2018 study shows that more than 60% of the average American diet consists of ultra-processed foods. Even more terrifying is that these foods are way too loaded with chemicals, preservatives, and artificial ingredients that the human body was never designed to cope with. Even more recent research published in The Lancet has shown that the consumption of ultra-processed food directly increases the risk of obesity, heart disease, and some cancers. So it is in fact the truth that every year billions of dollars are spent by big food to ensure that these are the products that become the first choices in our homes. But what they never want you to know is that the very products are loaded with refined sugars, unhealthy fats, and artificial additives that cause inflammation, destroy metabolism, and cause a plethora of chronic diseases. But this is the really shocking thing. Health conditions are not just manifesting in adults. The CDC has done research, and it showed that over 1 in 5 children in the United States are already obese. Those children are growing up with lifelong health issues just because of the junk food that they're being fed. First up, we had Doug Kaufman, a passionate advocate for natural health who's seen firsthand the devastating impact that poor diet and an over-medicalized society has had on people's well-being. He explains that when people make the switch to a healthier diet, they often experience detox symptoms or Herxheimer reactions. Doug Kaufman is a firm believer that diet and proper nutrition are the keys to staying healthy and breaking free from a system that's designed to keep you sick and dependent. He challenges us to take charge of our own health and stop relying on doctors and to realize the true power of natural health.
You don't know how many times I was asked the question, do I need a doctor when I start this diet? The more toxic we are, and I don't just mean fungus, I mean from PFAS, from all of these chemicals that we're now exposed to. The more toxic we are, the more you may experience what we call a die-off or a Herxheimer reaction, wherein when you start it, you change. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. You're here hoping your blood pressure goes down, your cholesterol goes down, you lose 20 pounds, these headaches go away. Tread carefully. Because many people mistake going off of my old diet and on my new diet. Let's say you're going from a meat, egg-based diet to a more vegan diet. Many people go through what we call a Herxheimer. I've had calls from people at the hospital who have said, Doug, I can't do this. I woke up this morning, I have the flu. I haven't had the flu in years. So often, folks, when you stop feeding the organism, the pathogen creating your health problems, it retaliates and you feel miserable. As far as which diet do I recommend, as you'll see in my diet, I'm a middle of the road guy. I also respect what the Bible says. I give you every plant with seed-bearing fruit, every green food that is yours there for food. And what are we learning? I gave a lecture to a group of doctors in 2016 or 2017 in Florida, and we talked about phytonutrients. Remember, we all eat chemicals because plants are chemically configured. The purer, the better. I like organic. Sulforaphane was one of the things I mentioned, but there are so many. I took 12 phytonutrients from food, and I began to study, I looked at the top cancers, lung, prostate, breast. I took a few cancers, and I studied all of these phytonutrients, 12 of them, and I saw if they had antimicrobial, antifungal properties, number one, and number two, did they have anti-cancer properties? Literally, you could have heard a pin drop in that room as I'm talking about broccoli, asparagus, healing plants, the right lettuce. It's so amazing. I think my diet is good, safe fats. I'll never forget 50 years ago, I helped Dr. Hughes at USC Medical School. I was broke. I was back from the war. And we had an avocado tree out in our backyard. And I would take 2 avocados to the cafeteria with Dr. Hughes. He would buy a sandwich. And I'd eat those avocados. And some dietitians, very nice women, sat across the table from us. And after a few days of sitting with them, one of them said, "I'm a little bit worried about you." "Why?" "Every day this week, you've eaten 2 avocados. I said, "Yeah, I like the taste." I lied. I was broke. Didn't have enough money for a sandwich. And she said, "Avocado is too much fat. You're going to end up with atherosclerosis, artery damage, etc." Boy, have we grown from then. I'm an old timer that goes way back to eggs causing cholesterol problems and salt killing you and so forth. The bottom line to all this is each of us was born with a unique thumbprint. You've got to figure out the configuration of that thumbprint. What I have for breakfast, I had 3 stalks of celery and 3 carrots. I ate them on my way here. That's what I eat. Normally I'll have a half a grapefruit. So I mix and mingle a little bit. Each of us is responsible for figuring out that thumbprint before we die. And I think figuring out that thumbprint will extend useful life. I respect veganism. I respect vegetarianism. They have figured out what works for them. The problem lies in those over here and those over here saying, no, everybody needs to be on this diet. We're not. Look, my voice is different than anybody else's. My thumbprint's different. Find what works for you. We have a saying in Texas, I'll never forget when we first moved here from California. I was coming home from the hospital. And I couldn't wait to get home to see the kids. And I was following a truck with bales of hay in it. And it was throwing hay all over. And I come from California. Why, that's horrible, that old truck. And it was in the fast lane going 45 miles an hour. And so I had to back off. And I had a bumper sticker on the truck that I'll never forget. And it said, "When you find a good horse, you ride it." And that is such a Texas saying. Find a diet that works for you. Mom's is probably different. Your best friend's may be different. Find one that works for you, and you have found added years and enjoy very good health when you do. I am 75 years old. I don't have a doctor. I don't know if I have a prostate. I may. Just don't feel like getting that checked. Why? Because I can sit. And I don't get up all night. Testicular cancer is on the rise. And a doctor friend of mine said, "Are they going to get you in one of those squeeze things?" I don't think so. Cancer screenings, if you're eating the standard American diet out of a box or a can, and this is the most exercise you get, probably a good idea to get a cancer screening. Colonoscopy, I've never had one. Maybe you have. Good for you. Again, we're all thumbprints. Don't poo-poo what that guy says or that gal says. He or she looks great. They've found their thumbprint, okay? Go along happily in life. Stress, cortisol will take you down. I was giving a lecture one time in Oklahoma City, and there were hundreds of people there, and it was in a health food store. And it grew so popular on Saturday mornings, I had to do 2 lectures, one at 10 and one at 1, and because the fire department wouldn't let that many people in. It was a lot of fun. And my friend said to me, "Doug, we're in a health food store. How many of these things in here are antifungal?" All of them. Phenolic compounds are polyphenolic compounds. All plants have phenol in them. Phenol is antifungal. So we look at herbs and we look at plants and we think we're eating those for nutrition. Let me just tell you, I took a course in herbology once and there were physicians attending that course. I was so happy. Find a doctor that knows who you are, will listen to you, and let you experiment with herbs, teas, steeped teas, plants, etc. Spices. Remember Cass Ingram? He was a friend of mine. Cass passed a few years ago. But he had a company called North American Herb and Spice. They used to advertise on my show. And he wrote a book called The Healing is in the Cupboard. It's amazing what spices are. Garlic, onion, Allison. I mean, what you have in your spice cabinet is amazing. There's a company selling a $20 bottle of thyme oil. Great name, by the way, Time Out. And they're using it for dermatological problems, skin rashes of kids and adults. And they're hitting a home run with this. There are so many, the cure is often in the cupboard. And yet mom, a loving mom, took us to a loving pediatrician, and it started. Only the pediatrician can help you. Folks, when you reach the age of reason, you'll realize maybe not a bad idea if I follow the standard American diet to go see a doctor. But if I don't, am I free? I used to take mom and dad to the doctor when I got back from Vietnam. And I remember thinking, I don't want to be 50 because then I start all these treks, endocrinologist, dentist every 6 months, yada, yada, yada. And I figured out a way by using diet, the nutrition, God didn't make any mistakes. The nutrition in these foods is absolutely amazing. And the right supplements to avoid running to the doctor. I'm going to die one day, and I have an 80% chance I'm going to die in a hospital.
Hey there, it's Jonathan. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode. We have an action-packed episode ahead of us. Get ready for it. I'm excited at what we're about to learn, what we're going to share with you. And as we go through this content, remember that this is a window into an experience where we can help and support you, where I can help and support you with my team and with our tools, with our protocols, and even our red light therapy devices like this red light belt. So it's a simple step right now, and it's about saying, okay, I get it. I can see the value here. This content itself, if it was just to own Healing Revolution, this is worth it. This is such value to me. I want to own this program. I don't want to let this go because I've learned some information and then now applying it, I'm going to have to watch and rewatch some of these episodes. It was like last night, I was up till 1 a.m. helping a family with a chronic state where they didn't know if their sister, daughter, and mother. So I was talking to each of these family members for their one a loved one that was battling cancer. And so I'm talking to the family, and we were going through materials together at 1 a.m. And in this case, we're going through the book Achieved Health, making sure we were doing the IV and the enema protocol exactly as it's specified in this situation. And so this was an example of having a tool available to us to meet a need that in this case was a life or death scenario. People's lives are worth obviously far more than a few $100s. And that's why we want to have the tools available and get these therapies on these loved ones that we have in our lives and on ourselves right away. We cannot delay and wait for something or wait for things to get worse. Take control of your health, take action on your health. When you take action on your health and you own Healing Revolution, not only will you get the 12 episodes, the 12 bonus episodes, the 60 full-length interviews, the transcripts, everything else, the physical materials, the 8 supplement 60-day protocol, all of this, the red light therapy belt, and so much more. You have a pathway to health and healing. And yes, it's over $4,800 worth of free gifts, and we've really stacked that up really well to kind of make that very simple for people and give people a resource, a library of content that they can continue to utilize, not just over the next few months, but over the next few years. You can dive into that content, and we will continue to give you guys updates and help you understand and navigate as things change and twist and turn due to the nature of the world that we live in and the challenges that people experience. And here we are in an opportunity here to say goodbye to a lot of the challenges and ailments that have really threatened our livelihood and our happiness, and have threatened to even end our life prematurely. And we have an opportunity, you have an opportunity to stand up against that and to take control and say, I'm not going to be a part of a statistic. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to watch things happen to me and my loved ones without standing up and doing what I need to do to change my situation. And that's what we're doing with Healing Revolution. So we have all these fantastic materials. You can claim them here on this page. And all these gifts and bonuses are helping you on your pathway to health and healing. Scroll down below, place your order, and get all these tools. Remember, it's a stocks last. We have a tremendous demand with our red light therapy products as an example, and we have this allocated. We have inventory in place for this because we have prepared for this, and it's something that, because thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are invited to watch these episodes through our email list and other channels. So it's something you absolutely don't want to miss out on. Claim it while it's available and get this tool, and make sure that you don't let it go by while you could actually use this to help change your life. Remember as well, the supplement protocol works together perfectly with the red light therapy, and the red light is helping to activate these products. And so it will really outrank or outperform any other types of supplement protocols because it's got a red light product to activate it. A red light product from anywhere else is not going to perform as well as ours because it doesn't have, in this case, the supplements, the tools to help get the best benefit out of that red light, because you still want to support your organs with the detox and support various functions in the body, then the mitochondrial health, which these supplements are designed to do in support and connection with the red light therapy device. So grab it, it's available here for you in this program, and you're fully covered by a 60-day money-back guarantee. And use this to get the health and healing you deserve in your life today by scrolling down below and placing your order. Thanks so much. Next, we have Dr. Brandon Nutt, a chiropractor and expert in neurological cases, who sees the damage the medical industry does by focusing purely on symptom management. He challenges conventional medicine's obsession with medications and offers a holistic approach that emphasizes the role of nutrition, exercise, and mental health in healing. Dr. Nutt points out how environmental toxins, such as those found in ultra-processed foods, disrupt the body's metabolic processes and contribute to neurological issues, something that isn't being addressed by most doctors. He's here to reveal how focusing on your overall well-being, not just relying on drugs, can lead to a lasting recovery, and how the foods we eat are directly impacting our neurological health. Concluding this episode, we have Dr. Deepa Verma, a double board certified physician who knows firsthand how big pharma and traditional medicine failed and continued to fail us. After the devastating loss of her father due to a medical-related issue, Dr. Verma was inspired to explore alternative, integrative medicine that actually works. She also deep dives into the dangers of modern farming, particularly how glyphosate exposure in grains has made gluten a much bigger issue than we think. But that's not all. Dr. Verma argues that a plant-based diet is not just a trend, but a return to what our bodies are designed for. She'll explain how animal products, especially dairy, are contributing to inflammation, mucus production, and long-term health problems like osteoporosis and calcifications.
My name is Dr. Brandon Nutt. I'm with the Wellness Institute of Dallas. Myself and Dr. Rayner started this business in 2014. I graduated chiropractic school December 2013 and started the practice as soon as we could. Did advanced, and I'm currently doing advanced training in neurological problems, functional medicine training, basically advanced diagnostics and what to do with those lab chemistries. We like to work on people with complex neurological problems that seem to be unresponsive to traditional care. Under the umbrella of neurological injury, the mechanism of injury can be very, broad. There's a million different ways to have neurological injury. You can have neurological injury without having any kind of head injury. You could be sleeping in bed and have a neurological injury. In fact, like strokes, the vast majority of strokes happen when people are just waking up or asleep. First thing in the morning is when strokes typically happen. So you can get a neurological injury from just about anything. But we like to break it into three different types of pools, if you will, or three different forms of injury. And you can have a combination of one or two or three or all, or you can have many different mechanisms of injury. And we like to break it up into like truly neurological. Is there a neuron that's damaged where neuron can't communicate or over communicates or is communicating to the wrong areas? There's these are pathway problems. So for instance, when someone has a stroke here, you typically see something in the left side, maybe some droopiness. We all know kind of like the signs of stroke: droopy face, droopy arm, maybe some spasm, or maybe movement disorders or things like that. So that under the umbrella of neurological, a lot of times head injury could be part of that. Now, once you have a head injury, there's usually not just the neurological, but the second channel would be like metabolic. Okay, meaning, are we deprived in oxygen? Are we deprived in glucose? Are we not getting nutrients to the brain? Are we not getting nutrients to the peripheral nervous system? Are we having problems with genetic SNPs, or basically these inefficiencies, if you will, when it comes to utilizing nutrients, or having these normal metabolic functions that might be either increased or decreased due to maybe some little genetic inefficiencies. Under the metabolic title, I also like to put just straight up nutritional deficiency. In our world these days, like, it's not uncommon. 9 out of 10 people are coming in with very low omega-3 fatty acids, essential fatty acids, meaning we have to get them from our diet. This is something that we check on every neurological patient. And the vast majority, almost all, I would say, have significantly, not just a little bit, but significantly decreased omega-3 fatty acids. So, that's like a metabolic issue where it's like, are we kind of hamstringing ourselves? Are we getting close to having neurological problems? And then the head injury was just the cherry on the cake, right? It's just like the final straw on the camel's back. There's plenty of studies that show omega-3 fatty acids not only are helpful in the treatment of concussion, but they're also significantly helpful in the prevention of head injury as well. So, a lot of nutrients run in that same category, where not having it gets us closer to threshold, gets us closer to potential for brain injury. And then once we have the injury, it's like, oh, you just have a concussion, just go sit in a dark room until you feel better. A lot of times that is maybe the worst information that you can give somebody. A lot of people say, well, just make sure you're getting lots of calories, you're eating something. And in a lot of cases, fasting might be the most beneficial thing to do. So it's a little bit different for everybody, but the metabolic bowl, if you will, or the metabolic pathway, oxygen, neurons need oxygen, they need glucose, and they need activation. So if we lose function in one or three or all of those things, the metabolic pathways start to fall apart too. Okay. And then I would put over here in the third category of issues is kind of psychological too. So if we get ourselves into a fight or flight response, chronic stress, some would call, old school terminology would be adrenal fatigue or adrenal maladaptation, where we're just having these fight or flight responses. Interestingly, those fight or flight responses might be because of metabolic disorder. A lot of people we see with anxiety, nervousness, anxious and depressed, you fix their blood sugar and all those things tend to go away. So it's kind of, you can see how it starts to shift. And it's like we have these psychological components that are caused by metabolic problems, but have a neurological look to them as well. So maybe they have brain fog or concentration or ADHD or OCD or these type of maybe fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndromes, and those types of things, which we would consider more neurological, but we're completely forgetting about the metabolic and the psychological aspect to it. So psychological, I like to think of how we think, right? So it's like, if I'm sitting here going, I'm sick, why am I sick? I'm always sick, I'm always feeling things, and we're saying that to ourselves, that literally changes our physiology, right? So if I'm sitting here saying, oh, I'm relaxing on the beach, sitting and relaxing in the sun, my heart rate goes down. And if I go, I'm in the woods being chased by a bear, my heart rate goes up. So we can literally change our physiology through our thinking. And we need to, I think modern medicine and the way that thing's done right now completely ignores that aspect. Or it's, we'll just give you, the psych eval, or we'll give you, or maybe you do get to a psychologist, but the approach of the psychological affecting the neurological is not really talked about very well. And more mind-blowingly is how the metabolic is not considered with these types of neurological diseases. Like, good example, I had a patient the other day. She's a stroke patient caused by plaquing in the carotid artery, and basically chunk breaks off, clogs the brain, and that's a stroke. Clogs a blood vessel in the brain and causes stroke. Not a single person has told her, outside of just traditional care, lipid lowering medications, cholesterol lowering medications, those types of things. Outside of that, no one talked to her about her nutrition, how supplementation, how exercise, how, the way she's thinking and the kind of the mindset she's in, how any of those things are going to play a role in her recovery. And to me, we're missing 99% of the treatment when all we're doing is relying on a prescription pad and calling it a cure. There's so many things that environmentally can play a role in all these pathways. We know that like mycotoxicities, different types of chemical exposures can reduce or change the way that we have function in our methylation and detoxification pathways as well. So, I mean, there's a lot to think about, and even if you just support 2 or 3 of these little pathways, you can see changes. Now, are we going to call that treatment? Like, I wouldn't call it a cure, because to cure something means you do it and then it's fixed and you don't have to worry about it again. I wouldn't call it a cure, but I think it is part of the natural treatment, natural health. I think it's something that if we don't do, you're probably not going to see full progression or full remediation of whatever the problem is.
My name is Deepa Verma, and I am a double board certified physician, originally trained in family medicine, and I practice integrative anti-aging longevity medicine. I founded Synergistic Wellness back in 2013 after just feeling jaded with traditional medical health care. And I basically had very challenging obstacles in my life that I had to overcome. At that time, my father had unexpectedly passed away on my mom's birthday, and it was from a pharmaceutical he had taken, which he shouldn't have been on. And he was very, very healthy. He was 69. He looked like he was 59. And nobody monitored it, and his blood sugar dropped, and he went to cardiac arrest, and that was it. So God bless him. It was peaceful, but that really opened up my eyes to what goes on or what doesn't go on in traditional medical health care. And at that time as well, I was getting a divorce, and I had 3 little boys. And, it was hard, losing 2 main male figures in your life. The reason why we do so is because there is that microbiome depletion of our soil. So we are not getting that same nutritional content in our foods as we did 50 years ago or 100 years ago. So what we can get in a physician-regulated supplement is very concentrated. So for example, if you want to get turmeric, curcumin in your body at the levels you need, you'd have to eat a cup of turmeric a day, and that's impossible. I mean, I'm Indian, and turmeric is a huge spice in my culture. There's no way you can get a cup of turmeric, but you take a capsule, you get that concentrated form that's equivalent to getting a cup of that curcumin bioavailability. So I always tell people, look for the term physician-regulated pharmaceutical grade. There's actually thousands of studies on hydrogen water. Hydrogen water is very unique, but it's so basic again. Hydrogen is a part of water. It's H2O. When you add that extra hydrogen component, you get all that fizziness and stuff. There are tablets and there are some basic hydrogen bottles. I mean, I have all those. And there's some really high-tech hydrogen infusion therapies that you can do out there. I think the tablets are great. I try to do it at least once or twice a day. And it's a regimen. It's a ritual. It's something that I do in the evening time after I eat my my lightly steamed broccoli and my lentils and my quinoa. For me, I always try to get my 15 superfoods in daily. But hydrogen water is pretty fascinating. And like I said, there are numerous studies to prove that it is highly anti-inflammatory and it supplies a lot of cellular energy, which is boosting your mitochondria. So that's another term you might hear is mitochondrial energy, boosting that mitochondrial efficiency. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of our cell, and that's where the ATP comes in. And so that's why it's also important to eat and balance all your macronutrients, which are your fats, proteins, and carbs. So when people are following a low carb diet, a keto diet, a high fat diet, a high protein diet, that's not good. Genetically, and I do a lot of genetic testing, we all need about 45 to 55% carbs and about 25 to 35% protein and 25 to 35% fats, healthy fats, monounsaturated fats, not seed oils, not PUFAs, which are polyunsaturated fats. And when you can balance those macronutrients, because our body does need carbs. So when people think of carbs, we think of breads and cookies and pastries. Those are your bad carbs. Carbs are fruits, vegetables, lentils, beans, legumes. You want to avoid gluten, of course, because of the glyphosate. Gluten is a part of grains, and unfortunately, grains like wheat, oats, and barley are some of the highest gluten-containing ones. So what happens is gluten is a protein that's in your grains, and grains are ancient crops. We've been using them for thousands of years around the world. Gluten is what allows you to make the dough or to make mold the bread. So for example, if you've tried gluten-free bread, you find that it kind of crumbles easily because there's no gluten in it. But because we've used so many pesticides like glyphosate and all these chemicals, we've ruined our crops. So that's why gluten-free is a big thing. So when we get back to reducing inflammation, I definitely recommend doing things like hydrogen water, drinking warm lemon water in the morning with a pinch of sea salt and cayenne pepper, cinnamon, and some curcumin. Those are all things that you can do, that you can infuse into your life that will help keep you balanced and keep you in a very anti-inflammatory state. Plant-based nutrition, I think, is essential and crucial in terms of healing. Being plant-based is something that goes way back in time to our physiology. We are actually created more like herbivores, so being plant-based suits us more. We are designed in terms of our gut to be more like herbivores. If you look at a carnivore, they eat raw bloody meat and they go and kill their prey and they eat it and they eat all parts of it. They don't cook their meat. If you're a true carnivore, you eat raw bloody meat. Carnivores have very short guts. They're about 4 times their body length. So as you're eating, by the time that meat starts rotting, they basically eliminate it from their body immediately within hours. A human or herbivore doesn't do that because we have very long guts. It's about the length of a football field. I mean, it's long. It's like 20 times our body length if you unravel it. So even if you have bowel movements every day and you're eating meat, that meat you're eating today is not going to come out for about 48 to 72 hours, even seafood. So it takes a long time. And when you're eating already cooked meat and it's almost rotten in a sense, not fresh meat like a carnivore eats, it causes a lot of inflammation in the gut. When you cook meat, it actually changes the molecular structure of meat and thus renders it carcinogenic. So there have been studies that show people who have high consumption of meat in their diet have higher rates of things like colon cancer, bladder cancer, breast cancer, etc., and constipation, IBS, all those kind of things. So we are designed to be more of a plant-based eater. And I think there's a lot of myths surrounding that we were these hunters and gatherers and we had high meat in our diets. That's not actually true. And I've seen TED talks on this. I've seen numerous scientific articles. We were actually hunters and gatherers and we ate nuts, fruits, vegetables. And if you think about the cavemen, to survive in those long, harsh winters, they would kill the animal, but they would use all parts of the animal. They would use the fur to keep warm. So I think there's a lot of myths and fallacies out there. And if we can kind of take a deeper dive in understanding why our bodies are more suited to be plant-based, to have more of that alkaline nature, and to actually look at the fact that diseases don't thrive when you have a more plant-based diet. And again, why when patients are diagnosed with things like cancer and autoimmune disease, why do they look at a more plant-based diet? Because it's used to heal the body. So I think being plant-based offers a lot of benefits. And if you can infuse that into your life and create times where you can be a little bit more plant-based, that's going to do you a world of good. I just want to talk about dairy. I think, when we talk about being plant-based too, is talking about avoiding animal products, which are meat, dairy, eggs. And there's a lot of myths and fallacies with the dairy industry, unfortunately. And if we actually look at ourselves as mammals, there are two things that separate us from other mammals. Yes, we are very intelligent, we have reasonings, we're very advanced, and that's great. But as mammals, and as a mother myself who breastfed my children, we are only meant to produce milk after we give birth. So when you look at a cow's not perpetually meant to produce milk. We make a cow produce milk by injecting them with hormones and all sorts of chemicals. Cows are mammals like any other mammal. So whether you're a cat, dog, pig, horse, whatever, you should only be feeding and breastfeeding or producing milk when you have your little offspring. And no other mammal will consume milk after infancy. And furthermore, no other mammal consumes milk from another mammal. So when people tell me that they're lactose intolerant, I say, yeah, that's fine. 85% of the world is lactose intolerant. We can't digest cow's milk. We're not baby calves. They have completely different milk proteins. And that's why we see a lot of milk allergies out there. And it's really hard sometimes to tell people because I grew up with those milk ads, with seeing those celebrities with those white milk mustaches. And I drank 3 cups of milk every day. I was a competitive athlete and a dancer growing up, and my mom gave me milk. And I don't know, it didn't do me any good. It didn't, I definitely am healthy, but I don't think I reaped any benefits from that. And to grow strong bones and teeth, that's a fallacy. We are a country that has some of the highest dairy intake, but also has some of the highest osteoporosis rates. Harvard did a study where they looked at 3 countries that had the lowest dairy intake, which was Japan, India, and Peru, and they had the lowest rates of osteoporosis. And calcifications are huge. When we have all that excess calcium that's floating in our body, it has no place to go. So it sequesters itself in places like your arteries as calcium, as plaque deposition, calcifications in your organs and your blood, and that kidney stones, for example. So I never recommend people to take calcium supplements. You actually want to take other minerals to help balance your delicate electrolytes and minerals and vitamins. So dairy is something that I think you just have to rethink. And I think it's not common these days for people to really be drinking milk, but just take a look at, the yogurt, the cheese, and the ice cream. But dairy is very inflammatory. And that's why when kids are sick, their pediatrician will tell them to avoid dairy because it's very mucus producing. And I have patients who, when they cut out dairy, they say to me, Dr. Verma, I wake up and I'm clear. I don't produce mucus. I'm not blowing my nose. I just feel lighter and better. So that is my take on dairy.
Hey there, it's Jonathan. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode. It's been a real delight to create this for you. Remember, you can claim your red light therapy belt down below. This free gift. Here you go. It's a game changer, and the supplement protocol is all there for you. Claim it. It works together perfectly, synergistically with the red light therapy device. So these herbs all have activation points at different points of red and near infrared light. This is why we've got both red and near infrared. 660, 850, the 2 most proven wavelengths in this red light therapy device to help activate all of the ingredients in these supplements to help them work synergistically, these ingredients, and to help your mitochondria in your organ cells, in your heart, your kidneys, your liver, your brain, your thyroid. It is a blockbuster program, one that is just out of the box. Use it, no guessing work. Just do the program. And yes, we've got even a one-on-one consultation with a health expert for you as a free gift, and all the masterclasses and trainings for any other tools or therapies, chlorine dioxide solution, anything else you want to add to this, even urine therapy for those that are open-minded and want to do that. You've got so many things to add to this, but we've got a blueprint there, what you can just immediately do out of the box. And if that's all you do, watch what happens. See the change and the transformation. Watch what happens when you make even slight improvements in your diet, and you can really support this process by getting the right nutrition and pulling out the toxins. Removing the parasites is one of the best ways to change your diet, because the cravings that you have are often based on parasitic infection, which are causing negative and bad cravings. So we're here to support you with that, help you with your health and healing. The two things that work so well together is parasite cleansing with red light therapy, and that's what we've combined together in this program. Grab it here on this page, and everything else you get, over $4,800 worth of free gifts. Remember, inventory is extremely limited with our supplements, with our red light therapy products, and so claim it while it's available here on this page, and come with us on a journey to change your life, to change your health, and to change the lives of those around you with a simple step of saying yes to yourself, that you are worthy, you deserve it, and look at all the transformations around you of all these amazing people, what they're achieving using this. And we're going to be continuing to share blockbuster stories, ones that have just brought me so much hope and joy, as I've seen all kinds of chronic states even get turned around by something as simple as a belt, whether it's pain throughout the body, autoimmune conditions, thyroid conditions, the long list of different conditions, even cancer. We're seeing tremendous results with this red light therapy belt, and I want you to have it. It's a gift from me to you. Grab it here on this page by scrolling below and placing your order. Thanks so much. The reality about the food we consume is far more troubling than we've been led to believe. Big Food has carefully constructed a narrative that disguises the harmful impact of processed foods, chemicals, and additives on our health, while making us believe that these foods are safe and even essential for our well-being. The truth of the matter is they are quietly contributing to a growing public health crisis. The more we consume, the more we fuel a system that thrives on our dependency. However, this doesn't have to be our future. We have the power to break free from this destructive cycle. By choosing whole, nutritious foods over processed, chemical-laden options, we can start to take back control over our health. Every informed choice we make is a step toward dismantling the stranglehold the food industry has on our well-being. We don't have to accept this version of health as our reality. There is a better and a more healthy alternative. The path to change begins with awareness, but it doesn't end there. We must make conscious decisions about what we eat. The power to create lasting change is in our hands. Each meal, each decision is an opportunity to break free from the big food cover-up and build a healthier future. Thanks so much for joining me in this episode, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.